Welcome to the Hop Edition podcast, brought to you in association with the Malt Miller, your go-to choice for premium homebrewing ingredients and equipment. Whether you're a beginner starting out or an experienced brewer, the Malt Miller has got you covered. So for top quality products and customer service, jump over to themaltmiller.co.uk and tell them the Hop Edition sent you. We would also like to thank all our Patreons for their continued support with running and developing the pod. If you would like to become a member and gain access to exclusive perks and benefits, head over to patreon.com/the Hop Edition. Now it's time to get this pod started, so crack open a homebrew and enjoy the episode.
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 90 of the Hop Edition podcast. Tonight we're going to be breaking down how we might attempt to build a clone recipe of a beer. So just going to give a big shout out to Thomas, aka Santa from Sweden, one of our most dedicated Patreons for the podcast idea. So appreciate that, Thomas. We're making your dreams come true. So before we start, let's have a quick reminder of our wonderful sponsor, the Malt Miller, who are currently running their Easter sale. So jump over to their website where you can check out some of the amazing deals that are currently available. They've got a couple of new WHC yeasts just landed, which are dry yeast. One of them is called Sweet Release, which is a thiol releasing dry yeast, which is massive. This is probably the first dry thiol releasing yeast on the market, so that's super exciting. Baby. Yeah, oh yeah. And we've got another yeast called Lowrider, which is for all your low ABV beer needs. They've also had a big restock on Keglang stuff, so Brewzillas, Firmzillas. They've got hot bongs, temperature control units, you name it, they've got it. And don't forget their indie beer fridge and their artisan coffees, which have seen some restocks just recently. That was a very long plug. Big shout out to Stiffo for all the info there. Yeah. Remember, there's also a dedicated Hop Edition recipe section on the Malt Miller's website where you can see a range of beers that are featured on the podcast, including our own creations and some absolute stunners from our guests. Big breath. Evening, guys. How you all hanging?
To the left.
To the left.
Very well, thank you.
I mean, I'm hanging pretty well.
Yeah, the word hanging seems relevant for you, Andy.
Yeah, I'm absolutely hanging.
Big night out.
Big night out with you last night. Yeah.
I'm sure you'll careful prep for the pod.
Right, stay awake for the remainder of the podcast, Andy. If he's quiet, the listeners will understand why. So before we dive in, a couple of other updates. I want to give a big shout out to our newest Patreon. And listen, apologies to this individual. I'm probably going to butcher your name. It's Ivan Bakken. I think he's from the northern parts of Europe. Thank you for your support, Ivan. Can't do it without you. And big thanks to all of our Patreons for your ongoing support. And guys, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Facebook page, just so you can stay up to date with announcements as well as interacting with us at the podcast during our live streams. So we will post links, if you are following along live, we'll post some links to our Facebook and YouTube channels in the chat momentarily. So, what are we doing tonight?
I just want to jump in and hop onto this one. For those of you who know, the massive bell end that is J-Fork is one of our huge supporters on the podcast.
That's
massive congratulations to J-Fork. I don't want to put too much information out there, mate, but I hope you're like not sleeping very much. And well played, buddy. Well played. Now buy a fucking TV.
Good, solid advice from Chris there. Unfortunately, you can't bank the sleep, but you will just get grey hair. It's fine. So anyway, tonight the format for how we're going to build clone recipes, or how we would go about building clone recipes of beer. We have got a couple of supermarket accessible beers here in the UK. we're going to be drinking 2 beers tonight. We're going to be drinking Life and Death from Vocation and St. Austell's Proper Job. And the idea is we're going to just drink those beers and kind of work through a number of things that we would be thinking about in terms of how we would start to construct a recipe to replicate and clone the beer. So that's pretty much the format. And I think we're going to dive straight in to drinking Vocation's Life and Death.
Indeed.
Go.
Let's get into it.
I've just got
So-
fucking Proper Job out now.
Oh, sorry, mate.
Do you have any idea how full this fridge is?
Well, if you just read the notes, Chris,
I mean,
then you'd
it's
know
there
that
on
was
the
the
notes.
first beer we're going to drink.
Yeah.
Can't get the
He's
start.
got a point. He's got a point.
I need to put it back in a fridge now.
So listen, Tricky, maybe you could start us off on some of the starting points we might consider when we're trying to clone
Yeah,
beer.
sure. So, this is one of Vocation's core beers, and it is a classic, as it says on the can. I really like this beer. It's all Citra
Yeah.
Mosaic IPA, and I think, to be honest, I think it's one of the most solid kind of core range beers in the UK. It always seems to deliver a good drinking experience for me. But yeah, we're talking about how we might go about cloning this, and this is one of those, for such a widely available beer, it's one where there doesn't seem to be a really kind of bulletproof kind of clone recipe out there already. So we thought this would be a good one to start off with. And really what you need is kind of a starting point. Where are you going to start from with your recipe formulation? And one of the things we can do, and Vocation are quite helpful on this front, is look on the can. So on the back of this can, we have got some details there in terms of the hopping. So we know straight away that it's Citra and Mosaic, and obviously all beers are going to be required to give you your ABV as well. So straight away we've got a basic starting point there. It's a 6.5% IPA with Citra and Mosaic in it. As far as the can goes, there isn't really any other specific information.
There is 3
Is there?
kilos of hops and 40.
Oh no,
kilos
good
of
point.
barley.
Good point. I missed that on the blurb. So yeah, you've actually got a good indicator there of the
Yeah.
overall hopping rate, which might be useful when you come to kind of work out the quantity of hops you want to put into it. But you would need to obviously scale that down from. That's for a barrel, is it? For
Presumably, I think you'd be
yeah,
able to work.
every barrel of our punchy bestseller, it says. So you could reverse engineer that really and get to the kind of overall hopping rate.
Yeah, that's what the point I was gonna make. Yeah, and the fact that they say that that's for a barrel, they even give you the quantity, so you can
Yeah.
figure
Yeah.
all that back out.
So that is
Shall I-
actually
shall I have
quite
a go?
useful. Yeah, you have a go at that, and we'll also try and dig up some further information. So another place, obviously, where you might find some useful little tips or hints on the recipe is on the website, and particularly with beers like this, where it is a core beer, you may find some specific. This does vary from brewery to brewery, but obviously it's always worth checking. And the Vocation website is very useful for us on this front, because as well as the hops, it now also gives us on the website the malt bill in terms of which specific malts they're using. So we've got extra pale, doesn't say exactly which maltster that is, but I can't remember if they told us when it was on.
It's pretty plain though. See when you taste it.
Yes, and it is very light in the glass as well, colour-wise.
Uh-huh.
So it
I
does
would
say,
say
it
it's
says on the
like-
recipe we've got caramel as well, but I think there's got to be a really small percentage of the caramel, because even at sort of 30 EBC for caramel, there's not a huge influence on the colour of that I can see.
Yeah.
And we've got jumbo oats and wheat malt. So this is, I don't know about you guys, but my one in the glass is a lot clearer than it often is. So I don't know whether it's just settled out in the can or something, but
Mine's
it's
just
not got as much haze on. Yours is
There you
definitely
go,
looking
check
a
it.
lot hazier
yeah.
than mine. But yeah, you'd expect maybe a little bit more haze than what I've got with the oats and the wheat malt in there. Anyway, a little bit more detail on the hops as well. So it does specify BBC, Citra, and Mosaic hops on the website as well. So we've got specific enhanced hop pellets for those, and that's that's about it as far as the really easy information to get hold of. Once you've gone beyond those kind of obvious starting points, we can maybe look on the internet for other people's clone recipes, or you may find them in there's a few books around that feature lots of clone recipes that you can look at. As I said, I don't think there's really a particularly like nailed on clone recipe out there. I know there are a few, but it's not one of those that I've found a definitive kind of recipe for. And another thing which is obviously relevant to us is listening to podcasts, looking at articles, trying to dig out clues from where the actual brewers themselves have interacted and given up some information. You might email the brewery yourself. Gary did give us some little hints, but not anything like ironclad. I seem to remember when he came on, actually, there was a point where they had Simcoe in this as well as Citra and Mosaic, or am I remembering that differently? Does anyone else remember?
I don't remember much about that podcast.
That's fair enough. So yeah, depending on the brewery, some breweries might just give you the recipe straight up and not be bothered about it. Others may be a little bit more coy. Even if you do get the recipe as it's written by them, you may then have to scale it down or work out how you're going to make it, adapt it to compensate for things like hop utilization and so on. And if you're even more eager than that, you could start a podcast and get the brewers on themselves and try and extract the info from them, like we did with Track for Sonoma.
It's a very expensive way.
It's an expensive way to go about it, but you can put them on the spot, right? So it can be useful for that. So there's some starting points, and actually for this beer, there's quite a good, set of information there to pretty much put a recipe together just from that. And then obviously we want to use our own judgment and tasting and perception of it to try and get those details a little bit more nailed on. So, yeah, what do we think about the beer anyway, guys? We've all got it in the glass now and having a little swig.
All right,
smashed it from the looks of it. Or was that a
No,
previous
that was
beer?
my. That was
I was going to say that's quick
beer.
work.
That was my livener. I haven't even opened this one yet.
Ah, fair enough.
What I get from this
glass
beer,
now.
compared to most of the other beers that I've had with Mosaic and Citra in, is I get much more of the Mosaic than I do of the Citra, which I really appreciate it.
I think this is big hop charge in the whirlpool of Mosaic or something like that from the flavour of it. I don't know.
Possibly. They might
there's a lot in there.
Mosaic mostly in the. Oh, I got a lot of floaters in mine. Ooh.
What? Smash that one back in a one. You've got another 3 cans.
Oh, mate. I've got an absolute glitter globe.
Have you got some nuggets in there?
Yeah, man. That's grim.
That'll help you stinky ass.
I did hard pour it, but that's not on vacation. That is not on.
Oh dear.
Do you think it's
vacation?
But do you think that's actually?
They do say it does say pour carefully, maybe sediment on the bottom of the can. But
fair
even
enough.
so,
they warned me.
The big chunky floaters is a
it.
bit off-putting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Extra protein.
Yeah. Extra toilet visits tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. And my guts are pretty bad as it is.
Give it a minute and let them all float back down.
Is anybody else getting a blueberry on this? I know that this has turned into a bit of a tasting session, but I have to say I'm getting a lot of blueberry. So there's definitely a lot of there's definitely a lot of Mosaic in this later on to give that flavor. I do get probably the stronger
Mosaic influence. I don't know whether that's maybe just because Mosaic can be a little bit more dominating than the Citra, and maybe it's roughly similar amounts or what. But I do perceive the Mosaic to be more more of the flavor profile.
Than the Citra. The other thing you get a lot more flavor as well because of the alcohol. It's got that nice sort of body to it as well, hasn't it?
It's a cracking beer. It's a cracking beer. I like the malt because even though there's a lot of hops in this, I do get some of the malt character coming through on this quite a bit. So I would take a guess at probably Maris Otter as the base for this. I'm not getting any of the Golden Promise.
Who said Golden
No,
Promise?
I think Golden Promise is probably too expensive to be using.
No, that's the point I'm trying to make. Is I'm getting Maris Otter. I'm not getting Golden Promise.
I would say it's something like more like Extra Pale Planet or something like that.
Well, yeah, it does say Extra Pale on the website. Obviously, you can get Extra Pale Maris Otter, so it doesn't rule that out.
And also, it happens to be from a maltster, which is about 40 miles down the road from the brewery. So, just saying, you know,
it's what
Fawcett's.
Cuthbert. Oh no, right, okay, Fawcett's.
Bitterness is a bit higher than what you get on a lot of IPAs these days with this one. I think the amount of time this beer has been around is probably part of that. I think it's a little bit, you know,
sort of builds as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not like an immediate like upfront bitterness. It's sort of more of a, it even says here, like a lingering bitterness.
So I think the point that we're trying to make is use your taste buds in your nose, because they're quite important when it comes to deciphering these recipes.
Oh.
Yeah. So aside from, I think, outside of the parameters of what Tricky talked about, which might be like, okay, you've selected your beer, go and do your research, gather as much as you can from their website, from the can, from other people's recipe, because there tends to be other people's recipe attempts, but be warned, those can be pretty dreadful. But then the next piece is just cracking the beer and drinking a few, right? So we've got a few questions here that we sort of thought about ahead of time. We met earlier in the week to plan this out, and our kind of first point was just figuring out the style. Well, we know the style from the can. It's an IPA. But then IPAs come in different styles. So we concluding this is an American IPA, style-wise?
I would say so, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
We know what the ABV is. That's the next question. What is it? 6.5%?
6.5. Yep.
Yeah. And then the next question was: is it clean, or is there lots of yeast character? Is there esters, phenolics, that sort of thing? Might start to lead us towards some possible candidates for yeast. What are you guys picking up?
I think so. I think there
is. It's always difficult to separate kind of yeast character from, you know, a beer that's got this sort of level of hopping in it, I would say.
Yeah.
But we have got a little bit of inside info on that, because I think that is one thing that we did tease out of Gary on the previous podcast.
Is it Fermentus New England?
It's a Vermont strain.
Is it not Fermentus, the Lallemand?
I'm not sure if he gave us a specific brand, but he did say it's essentially the Vermont Conan strain that they use as their house yeast. As far as I'm aware. So that can be WHC, that's their Sanders yeast.
Yep.
Is that right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of different liquid equivalents of that. But I think that's probably quite a key kind of element to getting the starting point of this recipe.
Is it
what's the Omega one?
Mega Dipper, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Conan by Imperial. No, Barbarian they call it, don't they? Because of Conan, that's the...
Yeah.
So, yeah, the yeast is definitely available. I don't know whether it's taken on any, slight changes over the time it's been their house yeast, but it's certainly Vermont originally, anyway, as far as we know.
I think this beer, if you've made this beer with a Chico strain, I think it would be a very different beer. I think to your point, Tricky, it's hard to distinguish the kind of yeast contribution when it is quite hoppy, but I think it probably adds quite a lot of depth of flavour.
Yeah, especially with that higher alcohol.
And I think what you said about the IBUs as well, maybe it's kind of like softening that bitterness as opposed to just making it straight up like West Coast, because to me this tastes like it could be a pretty straight up West Coast IPA, but there's a kind of softness to it as well at the same time. So
I think that's coming from the adjuncts, though, isn't it? That softness, that kind
yeah,
of
that will
that
have an impact as
nullification
well.
of the edge. So I don't think they've gone too heavy on the adjuncts. I don't think there's a lot of oats in here.
But I reckon the IBUs are maybe fairly high on this compared to, again, a lot of. I don't know. I'd be thinking pushing 50 for the IBUs.
They may not even put any oats in. They may not put. It may just be a little bit of wheat malt. Maybe some protein malt. You know, like some.
It definitely feels that sort of one, that kind of crap load of extra pale and then some wheat and maybe some oats. Like
I reckon it's a pretty simple grist.
I don't think there's caramel in this anymore.
I think they've added very little bit of caramel.
Yeah,
just to
I reckon it's like a 1.5%
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. You know,
I'm not sure if it's even that much.
Yeah, because it's
very
not
small amount. Yeah, so in terms of an appearance, we're a little bit surprised, especially considering the yeast that they've used. The beer's relatively clear. I mean, mine's clear, but looks a little bit like a pond.
Mine just get that sort of slight haze sort of thing.
To be fair, my one's actually got quite a few little fine floaty bits in it as well. And it's not just you.
I've got a few more.
They're not massively chunky, but there's a little.
I wonder if it's to do with sitting on the shelf because it's supermarket beers. I wonder how long it's sat on that shelf, and it's cleared out, and that's why you've got so many floaters in it.
Could be.
Well, that one's done. Can we move on to the next?
The next can?
Yeah.
Well, they're only little cans. So
available in 4-packs.
That was the beauty.
That is one of the good things, and to be fair, that does tie in slightly because there's a lot of beers that you may want to end up having a pop at. I don't like the word clone because you can't clone it. Doing a tribute, okay? I genuinely think that a lot of beers you will buy a can of, and that's your can to basically work from. Because this is available in a supermarket, you get 4. So you could try and try and try and try again. Okay. And you end up with a point where you can almost decipher what it is that you're aiming for based purely off of flavor. If you've drunk enough beers in your life. I mean, there's a few people who probably don't drink much, but if you've had a few, then you can narrow down this, you can narrow down that, and some basic research. You know, maybe listening to the Hop Edition when we have one of the blokes from their brewery on and we squeeze him for information. You can really pick up quite a lot of what it is that you're looking for. And we've got the malt, we've got the hop. Well, we've got the hops, we've got the ABV, we can very easily work out the starting gravity. Stewie said degas a sample and you get the final gravity, therefore you can work out the OG. Tricky's pretty good at guessing IBU, so he reckons about 50. I don't think it's far off that, to be fair. And we can pull together from the back of it, you know, the amount of hops and all that sort of stuff. So very quickly you're going to build up information that's going to allow you to put together a recipe. We don't know which caramel malt they've used, but they've clearly used some caramel malt. So you could probably pick out from that maybe a couple of 5-gallon iterations to be able to work out what that is. It's not going to be too difficult. So yeah, I think.
What about
colour? You're well on your way.
On this? So have we got our colour charts up on our screens to have a little?
No.
Yeah, let's have a look. EBC colour chart.
Because if you get your beer and hold it up to a colour chart and try and work out where you're at, I'm gonna go.
Mine's 0.
8 to 9 EBC, I reckon.
Mine's 0.
Maybe a 10.
I'm going to go a bit lower. I'm going to go about 7. I'm going to go about 7.
I reckon 6 or 7.
Maybe even 6. 6 or 7.
Yeah.
I reckon.
So it's always going to be
what we're going for, SRM or EBC?
EBC. I was basing my number on.
8.
So that's always going to be a bit of a guesstimate. You're never actually going to kind of get 100% accurate read of that number unless you get it kind of lab analyzed. But obviously, it gives you a number you can plug into the software and then work towards, and that will help to inform your malt bill as well. Because particularly where we've been discussing the caramel, we can kind of get an idea of the maximum amount of that we can put in to achieve a certain value. So if we go, I've just got a recipe up for a similar kind of beer here at the minute. Let's just see what kind of...
This is tricky running through his 14,000
we
recipes. And they're just the beers he's made.
And that's just the Brewfather ones. If you go back to the Beersmith ones, there's probably
there's legacy recipes from Brewfather. So if we're using an extra pale malt, I think as far as the caramel goes, basing that on Crisp's 34 EBC caramel, to hit around about 9 EBC, you wouldn't want to be going any higher than about 1.5% caramel.
There you go.
Tops. So
yeah,
and that's obviously
how much
with
is that, do you reckon?
wheat. Sorry?
How much do you reckon?
For the caramel?
Yeah.
1%.
Yeah, so 1.5% of the total grist to get around about 9 EBC, which I think is
High.
well. Some of you are going even lower than that on the color, so it may even be less. But
The thing for me is
I
they've
would say
definitely not used a
1.5
lot.
or less, I reckon.
They've definitely not used a lot because there's very little in the way of caramel flavouring in this at all.
Yeah. I mean, to me, like if you didn't know any better, you'd probably go, well, that's probably like just the base malt and the wheat and the oats, or you might not even think there's wheat and oats in it if you had a really dry one like this.
I know. That's what
Lovely
I'm
beer,
thinking.
though.
Oh,
Lovely
love
beer.
it. I
Well
love it.
worth cloning.
yeah.
I've got to admit, not my favourite vocation beer. I prefer bread and butter, but that is a nice beer.
It is very, very drinkable.
Actually, no, what am I saying? I prefer Sweet Temptation, but that's a nice beer.
So I think we've managed to... What other questions do we have? So we've got general colour, how bitter the beer is. So bittering. How many IBUs? Do you reckon about 50?
Yeah.
There's a big charge of oil pool, and is there any kettle hops in this?
I think
I think there must be.
they've got to have a boil edition, like a traditional 60-minute edition to get to where this beer is, in my opinion.
Definitely.
And I think that might be where there's a bit of information missing as far as what's on the can and what's on the website, because
There's no way they're boiling.
they're not going to be putting enhanced hot pellets in at 60 minutes, are they? So
No.
is there something like a Chinook
Magnum.
or a Columbus or a Magnum in at 60 minutes that's doing a bit of the donkey work as far as IBUs? I reckon there must be something like that.
Yeah,
Flex. Maybe Flex.
I think.
Yeah,
I
nowadays
think
could be Flex.
I think that kind of lingering hot bitterness is probably through a number of hot side additions. I reckon they've probably added a few in at 10 minutes, maybe. Probably a 60-minute and maybe like a 15 or 10-minute edition.
I don't know.
What do you reckon they might have used?
I reckon there's a 60-minute and a 10-minute in that, because 10 minutes tends to give you a specific aroma and flavour.
Yeah.
I reckon the aroma from that is definitely because of around about a 10-minute edition. Having played with those quite extensively.
I'd be inclined to be doing at least a 10-minute edition, if not a little bit of a kind of hot bursting type approach to this at the later stages of the boil, with
Do you reckon with
60 minutes of
Citra
something.
Mosaic?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure I'm getting any other obvious kind of hop character in it. So
I reckon if they're going to have used anything in that 10-minute slot, they're going to have used Citra rather than Mosaic because of the aroma. I'm picking up quite a bit of lemon, grapefruit kind of thing on the nose, as opposed to picking up the Mosaic almost skunkiness that you get from Mosaic.
Do you reckon it's Citra hot side?
That's what I reckon personally.
I think I'm the other way. I think it's Mosaic in the Whirlpool, and then there's a big dry hop.
No, we're talking 10-minute, not Whirlpool. I think they've put both in the Whirlpool, but I don't think there's that much. I don't think there's that much Mosaic hot side.
Well, I've been creating a recipe in the background whilst we've been talking, because it kind of makes sense to be able to share this afterwards.
Good idea.
Um,
So what we're doing with the 60 minutes, how many IBUs do you think we need out of that 60-minute edition? About 30 as a base level, do you reckon?
20 to 25 easily, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
funny.
But what we're not getting
funny.
is that we're getting that sort of smooth bitterness that
Magnum.
you think maybe we wouldn't be getting from a big 60-minute edition.
No, you're definitely not getting that. They might even be first wort in this to smooth out that bitterness quite a bit.
But this is what makes me think, what is there in the kettle? They must put something in to stop the boil over and stuff like that.
Even if it's just flex, if they're just dropping flex in, then, which they will be doing, let's face it, liquid hop is moved into breweries, especially the bigger craft breweries.
Yeah.
They've got the money to be able to do it. They're probably dropping flex
Well,
in.
a beer like this that is being made in this kind of quantity,
It's got to
and
be.
they want that kind of consistent bittering. I would be very surprised if they haven't adopted that, particularly as they're saying that they're using other enhanced hop products in there as well.
This is
So,
where I've landed.
yeah.
I've gone.
Do you want to share it on screen, Owen?
18 IBUs of. Hold on.
For those of you who are listening to the audio version, at this point, we are currently about 32 minutes in. You might want to go and check on YouTube if you want to see the recipe that Owen's put together.
So this is what I've got so far. I've got 6 kilos of extra pale malt from Crisp, 500 kilos of wheat, and 100 kilos of caramel malt from Crisp. I think that's probably about where the grist is at. Discuss.
Yeah, no, that's about right for me.
Yes, apart from we need some jumbo oats in there as well, according to the
You reckon?
website. So
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right.
they
Let's
have
get
got
some
that listed on the website.
Jumbo oats.
But
Oats,
again, I
white
don't think a
oats.
huge amount necessarily.
Put I wouldn't even
500
go 500.
kilos.
I probably go 300 grams or thereabouts.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, I think that's right on.
To be honest, between the malt and the wheat, I reckon maybe 10%, 10-12% ish.
yeah, that gets us to
Combined.
about 11. 12,
Drop your
11 and a
extra
half.
pale down to 5.75.
Yeah.
There we go. Gets us about in the right
Cool.
ballpark.
Yeah, that looks good.
We want to be really anal.
Yeah, do it.
Oh, so annoying when it does that.
5.77.
No.
76.
How's that work? No.
And then you'll do 7.5 and then it'll jump like 2 points like off.
Fuck you, Brewfather!
Sorry. Anyway, let's not get hung up on that. And then I've gone first work Magnum at about 18 IBUs.
Yeah.
I'd say you're around about right there.
And then I've gone 10-minute Citra, 5-minute Mosaic.
Drop your 5-minute mosaic to 25 grams.
Really?
Okay, so we've got 20 grams Citra at 10 minutes and 25 minutes, 25 grams of Mosaic at 5 minutes.
I wouldn't do a 60-day dry hop. Just saying.
Yeah. Needs to
You
adjust
may
that.
get some vegetal notes.
The
That's
dry
the
hop
amount
needs
of context on it.
updating.
You taste like you freshly mown grass.
The beer would be green by that point.
Are we just going to go half and half?
In
Citra
colour and
Mosaic?
flavour.
So I think you're you need to be about 13 grams per litre based on the calculation, I think.
Really,
Yeah,
I worked
probably.
it out about 9.
Well, that's total hopping rate, though, isn't it? So that's everything included. Is that right?
But then you need to go 120,
Right, we need that.
120%
Hang on a
because
second, we need that out of the way. Where is it? Where's the doofer?
What
Right.
doof is that?
It's all right. I need to hide the overlay for a second. So 8 point. I think you're not far off on that one, Owen. I'll be honest.
Yeah, I think, what's the can say? 3 kilos of hops. Yeah, I guess that's in total, right?
Yeah. Well,
So added together in terms of aroma hops and dry hops gets us to, what did you say, Andy?
I thought it was going to be about 13 grams per litre, but you need to take 120% because to get the same sort of flavour, you
Yeah,
need
that's a
to
good
add
point.
that extra bit.
Good point.
If you're going to do this,
So you think we need to up that?
I think so, to get the same flavour that they were getting here.
125?
Yeah.
About there.
Now, what's this? Yeah, is that dry hop Citra Mosaic? Now,
Yeah.
is there a bigger one than the other? Or is it a 50-50?
Bump
I
your
think-
Mosaic up to 160, drop your Citra down to about 80.
I'm getting loads of Citra on the nose.
Yeah, on the nose,
I
but
think
not on the
it's
flavour.
probably,
The
I
flavour's
think
Mosaic.
50-50 is probably a pretty good starting point.
I'd probably go with 50-50 just to see what it does.
How it turns out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you feel like it needs more mosaic, then it'll be a rebrew.
Yeah.
I put the mash temp at 67 degrees.
Yeah.
I put in Imperial Yeast Barbarian, only that I couldn't find WHC Sanders on
Okay.
the pre-father list.
Fair play.
Ferment at 20 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I reckon that looks a very decent effort as a
Yeah.
starting point.
As a
Yeah,
starting
starter,
point, that's
yeah.
bang on that.
What about water profile then, guys? Just in terms
Oh.
of perception of the beer.
Well, we had a
What,
small
we-
point about this one, didn't we? Basically, look up the water profile for Hebden Bridge.
No, but they'll add salts.
I'm sure they will, but it's a decent starting point, isn't it?
Yeah, because then it'll tell you if
Yeah.
if they've got like calcium issues or something like
I'm-
that.
I'm not suggesting you do that right now, Owen. I'm just saying that
Waterboard
that is probably...
Is this
That's
where we
probably
got
where
to?
we need
Well,
to
it's
be.
probably I'm going to hazard a guess that it might be fairly soft water if they're getting
Pennine water, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. So what is the water then?
Well, let's assume we're starting with RO then, shall we?
But I don't know. Like, do you think that this? I don't feel like this has got like a high chloride.
I
No.
think it's probably pretty balanced.
I think this is either
Yeah.
either balanced or maybe even a little bit sulfate.
Sulfate. Yeah.
So if we were to go with
Go with New England IPA as your standard. In fact, no. Go...
No, because
No,
what's
I
it-
don't think so.
Wait.
More
It's
like
called
chloride
Balance. There you go,
Yeah,
Balance.
balanced. Yeah. I reckon that'd be a good shout.
And make
Yeah.
sure you add some acid, because that
Yeah.
needs acid.
Bosch. Acidify
3
that
mil.
bad boy.
3 mil.
Might even go
There you go.
5.
There you
Jobs
go.
are good, un.
We
Jobs are
probably
good,
want to
un.
be trying to get that near to 5.2, don't we?
Nah,
They're
you're
not
fine now.
tuning.
5.3
about
is
it.
probably bang on.
Nice. Boom. Recipe
Leave
done.
That's
Save
class.
that and then share it with people so that
I
if
want-
they want to have a pop,
I
they can
want to
have a
brew
go.
that. I do actually want to brew that. And quite a few of us have got a fair bit of Citra knocking about as well.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can
yeah.
cover that half of the recipe
TH.
quite easily.
THA Tribute. There you go.
I don't think that's a bad shout from us, just literally guessing from what we taste and what we can research.
Yeah, as an off-the-cuff recipe between the four of us, I think that is got to be a decent starting point.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Wait there, we got some comments I hadn't read. Oh, it's just people saying hello.
Share.
I'm talking
There you
about
go, community.
Cool.
You
Cool.
are welcome.
Coolsh.
There you go.
Anyway, what is there anything that we haven't discussed in terms of our thought process? I mean, this one's on reflection been a little bit easier, hasn't it? Given the fact that we've been given an enormous amount of information from the can.
Yes.
So, yeah, we haven't really quite got into like what
Now,
malt we think it
yeah.
is purely from perception. What hops do we?
To be
think
honest,
they
if
are
we hadn't had any
purely?
of an interesting question would be if you hadn't had any of that information, what would you have gone for with the malt bill? Because I'm looking at the beer as it is in the glass right now, I would have probably almost have been tempted to go like, single base malt, if not some,
Yeah.
just like one or two malts in it, to be honest.
I think I would have gone wheat.
Yeah.
I think that,
Yeah.
like, and I probably would have. One thing we haven't put into the recipe is any like carapils.
Because
For a
the
little
head
bit
on
of-
it was incredible. Like, it
Yeah,
had
the
a
head
nice
retention
colorway.
was very good. So you
Marshmallow.
may get that from the wheat
Yeah.
and the oats anyway.
Mhm.
So there's going to be probably enough protein in there without carapils, but be surprised if they haven't put some carapils in there.
Yeah.
That's probably where I would have gone. Would have been carapils, wheat, base malt.
Yeah.
That'd be about it. I wouldn't have thought to put any caramel in, to be honest.
No. Cara Gold, maybe, but not caramel.
It's the same thing though, isn't it? It's just a different name.
Caramel's that sort of really bready British horrendous fucking malt. Sorry, but it's just it is the worst malt
It's-
ever.
Yeah,
Go
there's
on,
quite a
Andy.
few
Just-
people
I'm
who don't
just
seem to
saying what you
like
mean.
caramel.
It's
I'm
an
so
English
sick
malt
of
and
it.
you don't like it.
Oh, it's just bogging, right? There's a word for you.
I must say I much prefer Caragold as a light
Uh-huh.
crystal malt. Like
Yeah,
I
it's
find
nice
you
and
get,
sweet.
you get a weird
Not sweet
peanut
and
flavour
bready.
with caramel.
I've
goes-
never had the peanut flavor, but you're not the only person that said that, so I'll give you the benefit of the doubt on that one.
I remember
Caramel-
having a conversation
was-
with somebody and I'd narrowed it down to a certain percentage. And it gives you that peanut flavour. I'm probably completely wrong, but based on my research, that's what I get.
Now I reckon
did
as
you guys
far
not use it
Sorry,
for
go on.
sorry, see the Brewdog, all the Brewdog beers that we brewed when we first started brewing, everything all had caramel.
Speak
Yeah.
for yourself, you heathen.
Yeah,
I never brewed
and-
any of their shit.
oh no,
Oh.
like some what is it? Was
It's
it the
horrendous. It was so
the
bready. it was
Dead
unreal.
Pony Club that
Uh-huh.
just had a crazy amount of crystal malt in it, like
Yeah.
25, maybe even 30%.
I've made that recipe a few times. I
I'm,
actually really enjoy it.
Like actually, no, I was gonna say like
Depends on the malt still, though.
now you'd look at that recipe and kind of recoil in horror and go, "What the fuck? I'm not going to do that." But to be fair, it's probably like even now, like still one of my favourite kind of BrewDog beers that they do. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
um,
have you had it recently though? Like even
yeah, to be
even
fair,
that's
I'm saying
gone down the toilet.
yeah, I was
now.
going to say that's like probably based on me tasting it last time about 5 years ago or something.
Scumbag.
But Tricky, isn't
I thought
saying
that,
that's your
mate.
favourite Brewdog beer like saying it's your favourite STD?
I mean, that's probably a little bit harsh even for BrewDog, but I hear where you're coming from.
I think a lot. See, having Punk last night, it's a lot more toned down from whatever I remember. But then it maybe just that everything is more amped up these days. Like this Life and Death's just
yeah,
like
but you know, Punk
busting.
IPA is like a you know regular beer in like Weatherspoons and places like that. So that's the market for
Guess
it
what
now.
that
It's not, you know, it's not. It's different target market now, isn't it? It's not.
yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, it's like they're selling a lot more of it for that reason, ultimately. So, you know, you can knock it and say it's shit, but it's just business. It's just they're just
What-
business orientated now.
I wouldn't got another can.
Just before we jump on to the next section, the man who recommended that we do this, Santa himself, Mr. I Eat Reindeer, so I'm a bit worried about Rudolph.
Miss man.
He eats reindeer as well, though, mate. What is it? Cured reindeer heart, shaved onto like
Yum,
a
yum,
truffle.
yum.
Santa's in the house, and he asks, "What about mouthfeel?" And I think we've covered that with the higher mash temp and the wheat and all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. So, yeah, it
Yeah,
is
And the
important.
yeasts probably. Yeah, it's one of those yeasts that's likely to add quite a lot of glycerol. Is it glycerol or
Glycerol.
Hmm.
Glycerol.
Yeah.
Same thing. Glycerol and glycerin are the same thing.
Mm.
Do you reckon you'd all have gone Citra Mosaic just off the taste? I think I probably.
It is kind of
Would've
classic Citra Mosaic, isn't
Yeah,
it?
I think I would have been fairly confident in saying it's definitely mainly those two hops, if not those on their own. Just off the
I would
flavour.
have definitely called Citra and definitely called Mosaic, but I would have been tempted to scream Azaka for some fucking reason because I tend to taste
You'd
Azaka.
love it.
Not that this will have had anything to do with the Azaka that I'm tasting, but yeah, it is what it is.
Because it did used to have
It's gonna
Simcoe
get you
in it.
that.
See, when I looked, I've tried to do a clone years ago, and it had Simcoe in it. and so obviously somewhere it said Simcoe, and I reckon they've dropped the Simcoe.
No, that's what I was saying, because I'm sure that when we had Gary on, there was a period where they were like, well, we're adding a bit of Simcoe into it now. And I'm sure he was also talking about like either Spectrum or Incognito or something, but that seems to have now reverted back to what it was prior. So, yeah.
I'm hoping to head over there at some point during the next week. And if Gary's around, then I'll have a chat with him.
Yeah, just see how close we got.
I just want to get into the barrel store. That's all I want.
I realised I was just sharing all of our podcast notes, which is funny.
No, it's all covered up, mate. You're not sharing anything.
Oh, was it? Oh, that's good. Not that they're particularly inflammatory, but it would have been very professional, would it?
Isn't that bit at the bottom where it says "fuck everyone"? Is that not proper or?
Oh, that bit. Yeah. Whoops. One thing we didn't consider was the final gravity of the beer. I think
good
the
shout.
recipe
We didn't talk about that.
came in at 1019.
Oh, okay. So that's with...
Does that feel like it might have been quite high?
It does, yeah. I think that feels a
feel
little bit
I
high.
think that's why the bitterness is so high, though, to cover that up. Maybe.
Maybe the mash temp isn't as high as that.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I feel like it's a bit drier. I feel like it's a bit drier than
Yeah,
because the Boogie ratio is at 0.74.
it feels more kind of 10-12 type.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't push that Boogie too much higher. Probably only go like 0.85 maybe. So maybe that mash temp needs to come down.
I think I'd put that mash temp down to
65.
Well, what do you get with 65? Does that bring it down
10-18.
to... Really? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Might have
So
something
what's
to do with
the
oats.
attention on the
74%
Barbarian.
on the yeast.
Okay.
I think you'd probably squeeze out a little more than 74.
I was going to say, I reckon that's going to come down lower than that.
If I changed it to 76, you would go to 10-16.
Can I just say to everybody who's in the chat and everybody who's listening, this used to be pretty much a standard video chat between me and Tricky, where we would just sit around and talk about recipes, and it'd be like, oh, well, if I do this, then I get this, and what about this, and then we get this. That used to be a standard video chat
That
between
was
us.
kind of the genesis of the podcast, I think.
It pretty much was, yeah, to be
You
fair.
guys nerding out on recipes.
Yeah, pretty much.
But what happens is, right, you brew it, then you go, right, I'm going to change this. You change it, and it's completely fucking different to what you thought it was
You
going
brew
to
it
be.
And it
fucking
gets worse.
twice, and it's completely different, Andy. That's what happens.
That's true,
Yeah.
That
And
is
you're
true.
just like, why is this worse?
Yeah.
The number of times I've brewed a recipe more than once, or brewed it, probably
You know, the
twice.
first time was the
It's
best.
the two versions have been like way different.
Yeah.
That's not even changing anything. That was just attempting to rebrew it.
Yeah.
It ends up totally different. So
Standard
I
practice.
think the
isn't it?
consistency piece is quite hard to master.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right then, are we
Not
moving
easy.
on? Are we gonna do a proper job?
Yeah, let's get into a proper job.
I think we're actually breaking for a commercial.
Oh, we're doing the commercial in between.
Are we
Yeah,
going
that
for a
makes sense.
commercial break right now?
We're gonna have a
does
commercial
make sense.
break.
Take it to the
shit.
commercial break.
I need to get my commercial beer out then, don't I? Really?
Well, I need to go and get another glass because I only bought one up. Schoolboy.
That would not be the right place for you to decide to settle, Mr.
I
Fly.
just can't be bothered
You know what?
to
I'm
get
just
a
going to
different
drink it out of
glass.
the can. Well, no, I shouldn't do that because you want to know about the colour. I'll get a glass.
Everyone else seems otherwise engaged, so I'll make a start then. I've got a psychedelic dragonfly from Asvex, and it is, the writing on this can is very small. I think I'm going to need to get some glasses. 7.2%, and it is a Simcoe Mosaic and Motueka IPA. These are, this is Asvex, who are Liverpool based brewery. Let's see what we've got in the glass. It is definitely more on the hazy side of, thanks for that. J-Fork, just very old. Yeah, the eyesight is also falling away, much like my hairline.
You're making yeast starters in glasses now.
It looks like it, doesn't it? That is an absolute merc bomb. So aroma-wise, not massively punchy. Definitely
Just
getting...
Massive thanks to Lukey Stevens for this one. Cheers, Lukey.
Yeah, that's a beauty. Very nice. Yeah, not massively punching on the aroma, but there's, funnily enough, yeah, the Life and Death is probably more aromatic than this, but definitely getting the Mosaic. I think a bit of that kind of grapefruity Simcoe. Ooh, flavours definitely a bit more to it there though. There's some nice kind of mixed kind of citrus, breakfast juice type, grapefruit, orange, probably a bit of lime in there, maybe coming through from the Mochuica.
Why is it tricky? I missed it. Is it
Sorry.
a track beer?
No, it's a psychedelic dragonfly IPA from Asvex.
Oh,
nice can art, to be fair.
Yeah, I
I do
love
like
that.
that. That is proper.
That's very cool.
It is properly psychedelic, to be fair.
They've got quite like an American sort of branding, haven't they? They're quite like
Yes.
super
Yeah, yeah.
colourful. I like that.
So yeah, quite thick, Nipah-like kind of mouthfeel to it. Lots of tropical fruit juice in there. That's a very nice beer, to be fair. Little bit of bitterness, but quite sweet. Overall, I think maybe I'd maybe like a little bit more bitterness to it. But yeah, just sort of citrusy, tropical, juicy, hazy. Very nice. Very nice. Smooth, nice mouthfeel. It's a good one. Yep, I like that. That would get a... we're doing scoring. I'd give that a 8 out of 10, I think.
Oh,
Recommend.
lovely. I need to check out Asvex. I need to drink some more of their beers.
Yeah, quite a few people who seem to rate them pretty highly, so I think they're worth a
I think I've had one or two, but that's it. Did you want to go next, Chris? Or did you
Can I
just
go
want to say
next?
something?
Please,
Yeah,
can I
if
go
you want.
next?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've busted out a beer that I got with my massive amount of vouchers from North Brewing, which I'm quite glad that I did. I nearly didn't pick this one up, but this is a Baltic Porter coming in at 7.4. It's an Orbit Brewing with Utopian collaboration. Little 330ml bottle, which I thought was kind of cute, which pretty much the only reason why I picked it up. But this is everything that a porter should be. Right, this is really very, very nice, and it fits the Baltic Porter style really well. So there's not an overly large amount of roast, there's not a stupid amount of body, but there is a shitload of flavor that I'm getting from this one, and I'm getting like really weird berry notes, which is really nice. I'm also getting that borderline coffee on the palate, but with this really kind of like borderline dry finish. It's very strange. Massively drinkable for 7.4. Flavor wise, it's banging. Mouthfeel wise, it's banging. Just as a beer in general, this is a banger. It's really, really nice. Yeah, highly recommended. If you've not had anything by Orbit, give them a shout, because this is beautiful. It's also got these cool pinwheels, which tells you, you know, it's 50-50 between them, but it's more heavily towards roasted than it is hot bitterness. There's virtually no bitterness on this. It's there's enough to keep you interested at 7.4, but my God, this is a nice beer. I would rate this out of 10. I'd give this a solid 7.8.
Who are Orbit? Sorry, not.
So Orbit Brewing, apparently, according to the label, is underneath the railway arches in Fielding Street, SE17. So in London.
Okay.
Man, what a beer. Really, quite an unexpected beer. That I was expecting it to be much heavier, but for a Baltic, it's hit that lager porter really well. Nice.
Yeah, they have a London tap room. They have a core range of beers.
Mm.
They looks like they do something called a lager. You guys heard of that?
Never heard of lagers before. What do they do?
They also do a pale ale.
I mean, they jumped in with Utopian, so I'm imagining that's where the clean characteristics of this beer were born.
Yeah. Upsettingly, though, they have referred to what effectively is a Kolsch to a clone lager.
Yeah, they're probably foolishly believing that because we've gone through Brexit, we still have to respect the fact that you can't call a Kolsch in the
being
UK.
Unnecessarily careful there with their branding, aren't they?
Yeah, technically not a lager, pseudo.
Really nice.
They
Plus,
called it pseudo lager.
Company logo is pretty cool as well.
That is cool.
Check them out, guys. Check them out.
Well worth a punt. Great beer.
J-Fork wants to know what a bouffant is.
I think he was referring to your pronunciation of Kolsch.
What? I thought he was asking me what a bouffant is.
That's what's on top of your head.
That is, yeah. Well, I said a Kolsch. A Kolsch. Yeah. Thanks, mate. It's work in progress. Oh, I'll go next. I'm drinking. I'm sticking on the Vocation train. Whilst I was in the supermarket picking up some Life and Death, and I bought this special edition Vocation beer that has you
need to sort that focus out, man.
Focus, but it's Death by Daiquiri, strawberry and lime daiquiri sour, coming at 4.5%. So I think they've previously done a Death by Margarita. So they're saying they're swinging by Cuba for a daiquiri. Inspired by the classic Cuban cocktail, this syrupy, sweet and slightly tart fruited sour beer balances a tantalizing infusion of fragrant, juicy strawberry and bright, zesty lime. I tell you what, Vocation beers, like, they really have got a lot of good head. I've noticed. I don't know if they just carbonate their beer a little bit more. I'm getting strawberry. I'm getting lime. I'm getting sweet.
Daiquiri.
Not really, but I doubt very much they put tequila in it. Or whatever's in a daiquiri. Is it tequila? Or is it rum?
I've got no idea. No idea at all.
I'm going to go with rum rather than tequila.
I think it might be rum. I chose it because it was only 4.5%.
I had the lime version of that when we had him on Gary on the podcast, I think, and it turned my face inside out. How's the sourness on that one?
Not too bad, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, hold on. My cheese glands.
Yeah, I was very surprised to see the lime one in the supermarkets because it was actually
it's not all the way up there, which is like the max sourness. It's about there.
Yeah.
But anyone, I imagine there was a few. I'm visually pointing to my face for anyone that's not following along on the live stream. If you have a sour beer, do you ever notice that first sip in particular starts to make your I don't know, your like
you get like a cramp in the back of your jaw, yeah.
And depending on how far up your jaw it goes, normally is a good indicator as to how sour the beer is.
Yeah.
So we're talking back molar, not hinge joint.
Yeah, I've gone back molar, not like actual, jaw connection. Also happens, I find, when you eat cheese. If you eat really mature cheese, it makes those glands go.
There's lactic acid crystals in the cheese if it's really heavily matured.
Yeah, that's the proper vintage crunchy cheddar.
That's the shit,
man.
Crunchy cheddar.
That's the one that you dip in, like, if you take a couple of spoonfuls of mango chutney on a plate and you dip your cheese into the mango chutney, if you've got the crystals in it, that's where it balances off nice.
I prefer a little bit of quince.
Yeah, let's move on.
Oh, that was for comedy value, by the way. It's a really nice beer. It's not too sour.
The colour's banging.
Nicely with the air. I mean, it's super murky. They've managed to just get away with that level of murk and the colour, because there's a danger that it sort of ends up like dishwater.
It's a banger, that
murk. But they've almost kind of come away with kind of a like a rum cocktail type colour.
Nice.
Could be doing with a bit brighter, but incredible head retention.
I was going to say I'm not surprised they didn't tone the sour down from the lime version, because I reckon there must have been a few people who got very surprised by that when it was available in supermarkets.
Very surprised.
Very surprised.
Yeah, I guess if you're gonna go margarita, like a margarita is very sour. Like,
I mean, it did what it said on the tin, because it did taste like drinking like raw lime juice. It was, but even more sour than that. So
more so than your lime bongo.
I think so. Yeah, I think it was more sour than that. Which had
spicy.
13 limes and zest of said limes in it.
Tricky, if you had to guess, roughly, based on the beer that you had, how many times were the phrase, holy shit, that's sour, said during the drinking of that beer?
By your average supermarket customer, I would say that would be about 99% of them who were purchasing it. I think there would have been a lot who would have been like, that's poison, and just spat it out straight away.
This is off.
There's a lot of... I'm surprised sour beers get a good go in the supermarkets, to be fair. I think a majority of them are bought by people not looking at the label closely enough.
This is what I'm saying. I think
sour.
A lot of them will go, oh, fruit beer. I like fruity beers. And then they get home and just like, oh, what the fuck? In fact,
and hopefully they stick with it, because they spent quite a lot of money on it, and then start to embrace sour beer.
I literally had somebody I know who likes, a few craft beers, but didn't understand the concept of a sour beer, send me a message about a Vault City beer that he'd bought by in this exact scenario of not understanding it was a sour beer, and it was like, what the fuck is this? This is the worst beer I've ever had, blah blah blah, it's disgusting, why is it turning my face inside out, etc etc. And it was like, yeah, that's a sour beer, mate, like, did you not realise? What's that?
Dope.
So
I think the thing that you need to embrace, right, is disconnecting from the word beer.
Yes.
Yep.
Took me about 4 years.
Yeah, like if you can just go, it is beer, but it's not really beer. It's something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then
Then
you respect it for what it is, rather than thinking it needs to taste like a lager.
I mean, if you gave that to your average Foster's drinker, they would literally shit their pants. Because number one, they'd be tasting actual beer. And number two, they'd go, holy shit, why is my face inside out? Why can I see my own jaw? That would be a good one.
Yeah, there you go. So I would rate that 7 out of 10. Not the best sour beer I ever had, but crushable.
Just as a follow-up on my beer.
One.
I might grab one of those next time in Sainsbury's, actually, because I have been eyeing it up, sort of going, might be worth a punt for, was it like £3 a can or something?
Definitely worth a punt. I think I paid, it was like 4 for 3. So I don't know what that kind of worked out at. But
yeah,
£1.25 each. No,
it was 4 for 3, so I just paid assumably for the
4 beers for £3
expensive.
or £4 for 3 beers.
Get one free, essentially, I think was the...
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Buy 3, get 1 free.
Okay. Just as a follow-up on my beer, yeah, it doesn't get any worse as you keep drinking it. This is a banger.
I'm keen to know what Andy's drinking. And
so am I.
Whether or not he's
going to give us a review on Scottish tap water, I think.
This is Buckfast.
Lovely mouthfeel on it.
This is Nescafe.
Yeah, let's see. So actually, I'm actually drinking a homebrew, and it's not my homebrew, it's Dell's homebrew. So he gave me a bottle of this to try. So I just got it today, and I thought I'll try it in the pod because Why
You can
not?
slag it off
You
while he's in the
you
chat.
thought you just publicly oust him.
Yeah.
Do you know what? No, because I really like Dell's
Because
beers.
he
and
ruined you last night, and you're going to ruin him tonight. That's what's happening.
So no, it's actually, and it's so interesting coming off the Life and Death because it's the exact same style. I would say it's Life and Death, except it's Equinaut and Cascade that's in this.
Ooh,
okay.
interesting
Oh.
combo.
Yeah. And so was it a whole load of it's Crafty Maltster's Pale Malt, right now, which can be quite dark, especially when you're up to the
I was
6%.
going to say that looks almost amber from here. Is
Uh-huh.
that-
Yeah, but that's just pure Crafty Maltster's Pale. And it is quite a dark, it's a bit darker it's not like the extra pales that we're kind of used to.
Yeah.
And it's stronger as well, because I think this is way up at the high 5s sort of thing, ABV wise. And right, okay, so on flavour, it's just like that busting citrus. You've got orange notes coming through, the grapefruit, and it's just like that sort of, like the peel, that sort of just busting citrus in your tongue. It's so much so that when you have it, you coats your mouth in like that sort of lovely citrusness, citrus fruits, and you just want to go back in and just drink more and more of it. It's really coating, and because it's got that higher alcohol, like Life and Death, but it's definitely more. I think a bit thicker. It's you just want to drink loads of it. So yeah, really really happy with it, and it's got a nice smooth carbonation because it's bottle conditioned as well. Dale does his old bottle, but it's got this lovely carbonation as well to it. So
Oh, bless him. Come on, Andy, sort him out with a keg.
I know.
Yeah, he
He
must
actually-
have one spare you can lend him, surely.
He does have a keg. He's got one of those 30-litre ones with the tri-clamp thing. He's just so tight he can't even buy the gas and all the all the pipes and the dispense and all that nonsense. But he actually does have a keg. It's just
So he's got a keg he doesn't use.
yeah, basically. But yeah, we'll get him there.
You get him there. Nudge him
Yeah.
in the right direction.
Yeah,
It sounds like he needs one because he's making some great
It's-
beer by the sounds of it.
Yeah, every
Are you
time.
getting that kind of green pepper thing from the
I'm
Equinox?
not quite actually, because and I know this is the Equinaut that was leaf that I got from
Yeah.
one of the brewers in Glasgow, and it's totally different it's really really oily, the Equinaut we got, and it's almost like, is this the brewer's sort of special sort of batch? But it's whatever I've made with that leaf Equinaut has been outstanding, and then the pellet stuff's like been more of that green pepper on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't yet. I've got quite a lot of Equinox in the freezer, which I've accumulated over the years, and I
Mhm.
very rarely
Yeah,
find a reason to use it.
and the
But
same. I've got a big bag of it that I bought. Must have bought a kilo of it at some point. I might have split it with somebody, but there's not
Yeah.
much of it been used so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I might have sort of a Timmy label on some of
Yeah.
my Equinox somewhere.
Yeah.
Which I do intend on changing that, to be fair, though, because I fancy trying to do some West Coast.
It goes
IPAs with it
really,
in there.
yeah. I would imagine some Centennial or Cascade with it would
Yeah,
be
yeah.
absolutely
Well,
banging.
no, that's why when you said it's Cascade and Equinox, I was like, yeah, that actually like Equinox with some classic American
Cascade with
sea
the
hops
grapefruit,
is
yeah,
the way
the
to
grapefruit
go.
bring it all, yeah, and it pulls it more towards that rather than
Mhm.
like what I'm saying about the green pepper
Yeah.
thing.
Like a big Chinook dry hop probably would be good.
Loads of pine.
To be fair, I think it pairs really nicely with Citra as well. Sure, somebody sent me a really banging Equinox and Citra beer at some point, or maybe
I think,
I've
like,
had it in commercial
kind of-
beers. Not sure.
Kind of recall Equinox having a bit of a sort of savoury backbone to it. It's not out and out like juicy, is it?
Well, this leaf stuff is really, because see when you handled it, you were like your hands are sticking to it type
Yeah.
thing, and you know it's good.
Yeah, I think that's
So-
that herbal sort of green pepper thing does, give it that maybe more savoury note that you're talking about.
Mm.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, on its own at least anyway. So it's one of those, maybe, put it with a different hop and it could probably change that just because of the the
Mhm.
overall balance of
But yeah,
the
no,
oils
it's,
and whatever that's coming out.
Nice.
it's absolutely banging, and it suits
Yeah.
the style. How he's went with the kind of the higher ABV type. You know, it's kind of, it just reminds me of Life and Death, how that plays so well.
Cool.
Lovely.
We all done
Well,
then?
Yeah.
Commercial break done. No one had a dipper, even though our notes have got dipper time in font 52.
I'm
sorry,
glad
does
I'm
my
glad I didn't get one out to be in
7.4% not
solidarity with you, Owen, because I'd have been like, "Oh, I'm drinking a dip because Owen said he had to have one."
Well,
Does
you
my
know what?
7.4% not
Stitch
count?
me up.
I guess it does, right? That's dipper territory. Chris held
think,
up
yeah.
the dipper time for us.
Yeah, and you tell me I never read the fucking note.
This might be one of the only times that Chris drank the strongest beer on the commercial break.
Probably the only time.
This is beautiful. That is absolutely worth buying if you can get a hold of it, boys. That is and ladies, that is an absolute banger.
Very good. All right. So we're gonna move on to
Get into
classic.
the
an absolute classic. I think we should, Andy, talk about the clone beers we've done at some point, but maybe we'll close out.
Just
with that.
because I've still got a little bit of this.
Yeah, we can talk about it now if we want to reflect on some of the clone beers we've done in the past. So, open question then. What clone beers have you guys tried to create, or tributes, shall we say, that haven't been just directly off a recipe? So, not your kind of Malt Miller kit beers and stuff. It's where you've tried to take a beer and actually clone it.
as in our own attempt at the clone, rather
Correct.
than
Yeah,
off a
like
recipe,
we're trying to do tonight.
okay.
Tricky's going to scream Sonoma.
Well, it's
Oh,
the obvious.
The
It's the obvious
choice.
answer, and it is the one that's probably occupied my, time more than any other. I think. I'm trying to think if there is any others that I've done entirely kind of
On your
off
own.
the top of my own head. Oh, actually, no, there is one that
Nice.
that does ring a bell. I had a real taste for. I can't remember. whether
Blue
it was-
Moon.
No, no.
Amazing.
I had a real taste for it was either it was either a Beavertown Rye IPA or it might have been one by
Is it
Shipyard.
Ackman?
Adnams, like 8
Oh.
Ball Rye IPA or something. So I tried. There was a clone-ish Rye IPA that I was
It was an Axeman.
trying
It was
to do very early on.
Drygate.
That was
tricky.
really
Tricky.
nice
There was
beer.
dry. It wasn't Drygate.
No, it wasn't that one. It was either the Beavertown one or there was an Adnams one that was kind of. I felt like that was their kind of equivalent of it.
Spicy fruits.
But yeah, spicy, fruity West Coast sort of IPA type thing. And I, like many attempts at a clone beer, it came out completely different to that. But it made a really nice beer that I was quite happy with.
Yeah.
So I kind of like, well, that's a success, but a really shit.
I'm not
attempt at
brewing
a
that
clone.
again.
Was
Not brewing
Bob's
as a
Best-
clone.
Was
Say
Bob's
again?
Best not an attempt at a clone by you?
Oh, actually, no, you might be right. I think I tried to do a Bolt Maker clone. That might have been a Timothy Taylor Bolt Maker.
Timmy Taylor
clone.
Bolt Maker.
Yeah.
That's a good beer, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's actually a good shout, Chris, because that was, and that coming back to what we talked about earlier, that was me sort of gathering information from a random interview that one of the brewers did at like the Great British Beer Festival or something that was on YouTube, and they kind of gave away some of the malts that were in it, and it was an amber malt bitter, I think, where it was like, okay, amber malt and obviously West Yorkshire yeast and probably Celia hops, I think, which they use quite a bit in there as well. So, and again, made a really nice beer. It wasn't anything like Bolt Maker, but it was got some
No,
good
I've-
info.
I've
on it
had
anyway.
I've had Bob's Best from you
Yeah.
a couple of times, I think, and it is a really nice bitter.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Bobeck. Did I put Bobeck in it? Was it that one? That might be why
Yes.
why it was called Bob's Best. Bobeck.
Yeah,
Hops,
no, I
yeah.
thought it was a tribute to your father-in-law or something.
No,
Yeah.
no. Well, no. Barry's Best is the
Barry's
the
Best, that was the
father-in-law's,
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good one.
Bit of a challenge from Collie Fish.
It is a clone, yeah. When you're given the recipe, yeah. It is, but it's just trying to clone beers yourself is what we're kind of talking about tonight. It's like, how do you go from starting and breaking it down and then
Yeah.
trying
Well, I mean,
to make something?
I
if
think it
you're
was
given
more
a
the point
recipe,
that
it's
tricky
an
was
absolute
I
clone.
was given a recipe.
But then, even when you get given the recipe by the brewer, you make it and it still tastes off, right?
Yeah.
Like, what was the Unity one we all did? The one you got on?
Conflux, yeah,
Conflux,
you know,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean that. I think that was a pretty close representation of the real thing.
It was more than a
Um,
close representation. Weren't you given the exact recipe?
Well, but
but
when
then
you brew it
but
at
you're
home,
scaling
it's
it,
still...
aren't you? You know,
Yeah.
you're scaling it, and then you kind of brewing it on a different kit, and yada yada yada.
Oh no,
I think-
totally.
I think it
Yeah,
came
and-
in pretty close to the real thing. I've probably only done a couple of beers that I've attempted to brew from just trying the beer.
Mm-hmm.
One was Beer Geek Russian Imperial Stout from can't remember the brewery now. Really famous Northern European brewery, Denmark.
Oh,
Admonson.
No,
Lervig,
McKellar.
McKellar.
oh,
It's a
Michaela.
McKellar beer.
The brewery that shall
Um,
not be named.
Which was actually, I managed to kind of cobble together quite a lot of kind of views from different people's recipes and their website and various things like that. One that I really went to town on, where I actually tried to just clone it from tasting the beer, was Siren's Twisted Dream cocoa and hazelnut version. And whilst I don't think it came anywhere close to the actual real thing, it did make quite a nice beer. That was a number of years ago now. And then the only other one I think I tried to do was like an Allagash White clone, which I've never tried the real beer.
That turned out
So-
all right, though, didn't it?
I think it turned out all right. You know, it's essentially what is
A
it?
wit.
It's a wit beer. Yeah, it's a wit beer. The secret ingredient apparently is the
Are they called like Jerusalem berries or something?
no, like what are they called?
Star of something?
You know, seeds of passion or something like that.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
That
Seeds
sounds
of
pretty
passion, yeah.
dodgy. That's not what they're called, but I'm gonna have to try and remember what it was. But I obviously notoriously
Grains
difficult
of
to get.
paradise.
Grains of paradise. That's it.
Thanks-
Seeds of
thanks,
passion.
Luke.
Hey, it's the same fucking thing.
Oh man, that's something entirely different. Oh boy.
That's what Andy
Um,
doesn't have anymore.
Just for full disclosure, I did not jizz into the
That's
beer.
Chris.
But
Chris.
Allagash White's pretty difficult to get hold of because, of course, it's from Allagash, which is based
All
in,
the passion,
the
no
US.
seeds.
Don't need those seeds anymore, mate. I've already
Yeah.
got 2 fucking fruit. That's enough.
We've got enough fruit. But yeah, those were my only real. Oh, and we talked about in the last podcast the creme brulee sour.
Oh yeah.
Palermo.
The less said about that, the better.
Yeah, but it was a good one, man. It's a great beer. The one from Omnipollo is a great beer.
Oh yeah, no doubt in that. My tribute to it was less
Terrible?
impressive. Yeah.
Okay. I did Boondoggle by Ringwood. I had a little bit of inside information in that I knew roughly what the malt bill was, and I knew roughly what the hops were that they used. Information garnered from the brewery tour, where I basically talked the ears off the guy trying to get the recipe out of him. And my version, a little bit of background. One of my mates I used to play World of Warcraft with, big old freak, Paul, who lives down literally just outside Ringwood. Big fan of the beer, and he started brewing basically because I started brewing. And we ended up sort of working on this recipe. I mean, I did the vast majority of the work. Again, I did it the logical way with sort of 5-gallon batches, 10-gallon batches, that kind of thing. Much quicker to produce, much less effort, really. And you can go through different iterations. And I ended up on First Golden Fuggles because it tasted great, and was pretty close to the original. Not like bang on, because obviously I'm not brewing in the volume that they are, but again, it's a recipe that I still produce every now and then. Now I'll still chuck a 23-liter batch of it on, because for pure drinkability, it's a banger.
Yeah.
Great little recipe, to be fair. I'm willing to share that with anybody if they want it as well. It's a good starting point. You might want to tweak the hops a little bit, but as a starting point, it's a great little recipe.
Yeah, I'd like that recipe, Chris.
The hardest thing is actually getting the Ringwood yeast to actually fucking do anything. It's the laziest fucking yeast I've ever met in my life.
It must be in the brewery that it's active, but
they've got something in the ceiling. They've got some kind of bacteria that lives in the ceiling, and it gives it the distinctive flavor.
Right. Okay.
So yeah,
all their fermenters are like the square,
open. Yeah,
Yorkshire squares.
FEs, yeah.
Well, they say that, but on the brewery tour, you find out that they're not actually that open.
I think some of them, they tend to sort of.
There is a cover
similar to Harvey's, then, where it's like you get the distinct,
yeah,
local bacteria.
But since they've been bought out by
Marston,
Marston,
say that because their cleanliness is just dreadful.
Oh no, the brewery was fucking like absolutely clean, mate. But the actual beer itself is, I mean, they've got some really. If you look back and go back through the old Ringwood sort of recipes, they had some absolute bangers of beers. But they were all they got bought out by Marston's Owen, Mr. Orton, a while back, a couple of years, maybe 3 years ago now.
Ages ago, they got bought out by Marston's. They're closed now.
Yeah,
what, Ringwood's shut?
Yeah,
it's gone.
They're shut down.
Well, shit. If anybody wants the boondoggle recipe,
I
just
imagine
tap me up.
like all the other brands, they'll carry it on at a massive brewery like what the original Charles Wells Brewery is now in Bedford, and it's just producing everyone else's beers under license.
Yeah,
which is rubbish.
Banger of a beer, though.
All it is like the beer by name, isn't it? That's
it's just the label. It's the brand.
Yeah.
There's no there's no locality or
that's true.
Authenticity to it anymore.
Lucas Stevens has just mentioned I did a 49er clone as well, which was reasonably close. It wasn't that close, but it was reasonably close. That was another good beer as well. So I've got 49er and I've got boondoggle. They're way down.
Do you know where the name comes from? 49er?
Something to do with gold mining?
No.
Was it 4.9%?
It's the original Gravity.
Oh, 1049.
1049.
There you go.
Again, another banging beer. And it's a shame that we're losing these breweries. You know, fucking superb beer. Superb beer.
Shall I rattle off a few of mine?
Yeah,
go on then.
Andy.
Right.
On.
Yeah, so I did the neck oil was the first one.
Yeah, I'm sure I've tried one of those.
Neck oil, yeah, I did that, and I did it twice. Both times really good, but I've just not bothered. I think it's Vic Secret's a funny hop, so yeah, we'll leave it at that. Australian.
Fuck Aussie hops.
I tried to clone the West St Mungo's lager, which is up in Glasgow. Was just a hellish, but didn't actually taste anything like West. I actually managed to nail Innocent Gun lager, which has got golden naked oats in it, and it was like identical, which first go I was shocked at, but that was really good.
Yeah, Derek was saying earlier to me.
Yeah, he got the
recipe.
recipe.
I was chatting to him this morning about how your that clone is spot on.
It's spot, yeah. It's like ridiculous how good it was and how pretty spot on. Yeah. I tried to clone a Northern Hemisphere Overtone beer, failed miserably, but it was okay. But it was just nothing like it. And then, as Chris says, C-Bomb. But C-Bomb, we got the recipe from the brewer, so it's a funny one. And then, obviously, there's been all the ones in the past. I think there's a few mentions of Was it Harry's
Vacant Jester.
bacon and the coconut shy IPA and all that sort of stuff? We've done all
Bacon
them.
Jester.
Bacon Jester. That is, and Vacant's an absolute cracking beer, but just don't use saturated yeast with it because it is totally different beer and not great at all. Use
Go
your
with the
SO5.
original, I think. Go with the
Yeah.
original.
Mm.
Yeah.
So we're back to the proper job. We're gonna talk about
Proper
that.
job. Let's get on with the proper job, yeah? Go get it. My challenge is
I've just stuck those two recipes in the chat. So
Still don't have
there's
any glasses
Boondoggle
available.
and 49er.
Nice one. Nice one. So, proper job.
I don't like this beer.
Proper
I've got
job.
to say this off the bat.
Chris
I
doesn't
don't
like
like
it.
this beer.
Did you not like it before or just now? Or have you
Has it
not
got
tasted
Citra
that
in
much
it?
of it?
I didn't like it before, and I did like it before. It was all right, but this, I mean, it might be the pork scratchings I've just had that have ruined it, but
Done
So-
yourself no favour.
it's crystal clear and it tastes very much of bitterness.
Well, it is a traditional, well, sort of traditional British IPA, so it should be fairly bitter to give them their due on that.
Any clues on the bottle?
There's not many clues on the bottle, really, apart from a general blurb about the description of it. You've obviously got the ABV.
Hold
Just says
on.
authentic IPA, bottle conditioned. I can't see any other information on there that would really help you out
Well,
that much.
If
I'm
this
getting-
is bottle
I'm getting,
conditioned, I'm a Dutchman's cousin.
It's
Fucking
talking
nowhere near.
about vibrant citrus, grapefruit, and pineapple flavours.
So it's got
Balanced.
Cascade in it then, yeah?
Balanced with crisp, bitter finish, a bold original with reliable quality in every sip, blah, blah, blah. Bottle conditioned.
No way. There's
We'll
none.
talk
No,
about
you-
this a little bit more, but I've got nothing in there. And it did, like, back in the day, because I have cultured yeast from Proper Job bottles many years ago. And there used to always be a little smidge of sediment in the bottom, but there is
You get-
nothing.
you
There is
guys can-
nothing.
Any aroma on this? I'm getting like meat, some sort of meaty.
Meat.
Like an umami.
I'm getting essence of ham.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is quite weird.
Don't like
Right.
this beer at all.
I'm getting like off the bat, you just get like a big whack of bitterness, and then it rolls into like this umami thing, and then it rolls into like a malt flavour.
Whoa.
Do you know what it tastes like? It tastes like you know when you're making beef Wellington and you've got the mushrooms. It tastes like the mushrooms that you put in a beef Wellington.
Every hop went into the kettle.
Actually, now that you've said that and the meaty thing, that aroma to me is kind of like Serrano ham.
What do they-
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that.
The
aged
link was
Serrano
yeah,
ham.
mature dry
Yeah.
aged ham.
Don't clone this.
That was you got to fight through it, guys. Come on, this is for the
Guys, we've set ourselves a challenge here.
science.
Oh wow.
It's more than a challenge, man. Fucking hell.
Right. I would say that it's all leaf hop and it's all throughout the boil.
I'm not as offended by it as you guys, but it's a bit
I
of
mean,
it's a bit of a step back from the last beers, isn't it?
Their description was packed full of vibrant citrus, grapefruit, and pineapple flavours.
What's a cascade?
Uh,
I mean, let's put it in perspective though. This is typically like a cask, beer, real ale sort of lineup. In that context, it's
You
probably
can-
more. It's more packed full of. I maybe steer away from vibrant, but it's definitely more packed full of citrus and bitter kind of grapefruit flavors. And yeah, on tap near the brewery, it is a really good beer. I've had it, not directly from the brewery, but I've been in the vicinity of St Austell and drunk it on cast. There's a little bit of a metallic note to it as well. out of
So
the bottle,
good.
which is yeah.
Buttonized.
We are discussing how to clone fermented pork juice.
That's exactly what we're doing, Thomas. Maybe you
Yep.
could let us know on your fermented reindeer hearts how it is that you do it. But right, so literally bitterness followed by grapefruit with fuck all else. That's all I'm getting.
I'm getting a
So-
bit of wood. Is there a bit of woodiness to it? At
There
the
is
start?
some woodiness. There is some woodiness in there. I think I would go
That'll
with
be
that.
the fuggles.
At the 60 minutes.
Okay, so on the bottom
Sounds
we've got ABV and some bullshit blurb which doesn't really describe the beer. The website is a little bit more generous. We have got the exact hops and the exact malt, and it's
amazing.
fairly simple. So we've got Willamette in there, Cascade.
Yeah.
Somebody's
Obviously.
already called that,
Is it the
and
Willamette that's
Chinook
bringing-
as well. The angry bitterness, I think, is coming from our Chinook in this one.
Yes.
And
First
the-
word and 60 minutes, right?
and it's Maris. And to be fair, they give it a 4 out of 5 for bitterness and 2 out of 5 for sweetness. I don't know why you need separate, things for those two. But anyway,
Being all serious now, maybe that hints towards the final gravity.
yeah, it's very dry. It is very dry as well.
It is
This beer,
incredibly dry.
just coming back to the cask and the bottled or canned versions, by the way, is yeah, could be that, Luke.
Where we at then, guys?
It's 4.5% on cask versus the 5.5% version that we've got. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward, obviously, in terms of the malt bill, because this is a single malt beer.
I'd say this is pure Maris. I wouldn't say there's anything else.
Yeah.
Maybe a touch of
Well,
torrified wheat.
that's literally what it says on the website, just Maris Otter. That's
So
what
looked
they
up-
say.
I looked up Willamette. Willamette is derived from Fuggles, but grown in the States.
Well,
Okay.
shit. There we go. There's the wood.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, exactly. The earthy, woody thing in there, I think, is your Willamette. The Cascade is probably just.
It's getting better.
We don't think this is dry hopped, right?
I don't think so.
I don't
This
think
is
so
all,
at
this is
all.
all boil
Oh,
hops.
they're all. I mean,
So- Maybe like a
Okay.
Flame Out / Whirlpool edition.
Yeah, probably a flame out.
Flame Out Cascade has a
But
very
I reckon
distinctive
the
flavour.
Cascade is in there at the last bit, and they're probably just using the other stuff in the boil.
Oh,
So what have we got? Just
would be my
Willamette?
guess.
Is that it?
No, Willamette, Cascade, and Chinook, according to their
Oh,
website,
Chinook.
and it's all
Okay.
Maris Otter.
Why didn't you
Um,
pick Tribute, Tricky?
I didn't pick this one.
Yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
Why didn't you pick Tribute? Tributes are much
Don't
better
blame
beer
me.
than
Well,
this.
no, we were thinking of Tribute, but then we're like, well, Malt Miller have literally just done a video on it, so we can't do that one.
yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah.
it would have been so much better if we've had anyway.
It would
go
have
on.
been a very
Yeah.
short conversation to go and watch that video. Job done.
We could have been done in an hour and
They
30, man.
literally had. Well, to be fair, it would have shortened the edit down, wouldn't it? So,
What beer style was this? Is an English IPA.
it's an
right?
English IPA exclusively hopped with American hops. So, the authentic bit on the label. Don't know if you can say. Well, they don't say authentic English IPA. They just say
It is an
IPA.
authentic IPA. It
To be
really
fair,
is.
nowadays, I think that even in the style guidelines, you can probably be allowed American hops in an English IPA. I'm sure, much like
It's been brewed. It's been brewed like an English.
But
IPA.
I mean, let's give it as due. It does drink like an English IPA because it's all
that is
bitterness,
fuck.
dry as fuck.
High sulfate.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, I think it's definitely high. So I mean, this is probably finishing
Oh.
gravity like 10:08.
I was going to say
Something like that.
10:09.
Yeah.
10:09, 10:08, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon that's probably about. I mean, water profile's got to be in favour of sulfate on that. Like,
You
probably
think?
3-1, if not more.
Yeah. So we
You
up at
reckon-
200
you
on
reckon 3-1?
ppm. I'd go
Alright.
way up to 200 ppm of.
Let's
Yeah.
just
Okay.
run through the notes that Owen painstakingly wrote, okay? Base malt, it's Maris Otter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we got
okay.
that one.
If you're talking about a darker beer, blah, 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 no, right. Choose a yeast. I would say probably SO4.
I mean, as a nearest equivalent, yes. I
No, but
don't think nowadays you're going to get much luck trying to
With the
scavenge
St.
anything out
Well,
of that, right?
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, right, on the shelf when I bought these in Sainsbury's this morning, there was this bottle which looked like this, and then there was another one with a little label underneath that said bottle conditioned with a layer
right.
of fur on the bottom. And I
Mm.
didn't pick it up because I don't like furry bottoms.
But it says bottle conditioned on the back of this, not on
Does
the
it?
front.
Well, it's fucking
Yeah.
lying.
Who makes,
What possession
SO4?
beers?
Is it Fermentis?
Yeah.
It's like absolutely crystal clear.
Why is it so hard to find SO4 on Brewfather? Seriously,
Just
Momentous.
put SO4 and it comes up for me.
it does not.
Might need to update your
Hey,
database then, mate.
Just type Fermentus FER and it'll come up.
Oh, you've got to put S.
dash
dash.
04. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So yeast is SO4. Begin to assess carefully the hop character. It's horrible. However, I would say that, that this is like Tricky's described it, woody with grapefruit.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm getting the grapefruit thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I know
Oh.
we're all piling in on this, but I think it's a bit of a departure from the other beers. It's tolerable. I'm not.
Do you know what?
I'm not-
The more I
I'm
drink
not
it,
hating
I'm
on it.
warming
I'm
to it.
warming
Yeah.
to it,
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
weird thing is, compared to the Orbit Utopian beer that I had before, this is a serious step down. Okay.
Humble
Now-
brag. Yeah.
It's the bitterness. It's like
It's really
punching
in your
the
face. Yeah.
It's like 60-minute bitterness. Like take
60
that.
minute, very big charge bit.
I mean,
Yeah,
to be fair, that probably does make it stand out from all the other bog standard like English ales in the bottles that are on the shelf in the supermarket, right? Like
Yeah,
if you're
yeah.
drinking your pedigree or your, whatever
would-
it is, in the bottle, all the other sort of samey kind of
It's like
amberish
the Wexford-
ales.
what's the
That one is
Wexford
going to make you go, oh,
IPA?
that's got some flavour to it. That's like a
It's
proper.
it's the
bitter.
it's the
It's
racy
green.
beer of the trad world, isn't it?
That's
it's
it. I
green.
think that's what I'm getting at there, Owen. It's the kind of
Oh,
like
yeah.
the
Yeah.
look
I'm
at us with
fine-
our American hops and our wild take on bitterness.
Yeah,
I'm
compared
surprised.
to
edgy.
I'm surprised Canada haven't ousted St. Austell entirely.
Look, if you're into super bitter beers,
Mhm.
this is bang on for you.
Uh-huh,
This is
yeah.
traditional IPA.
Yeah.
Right? This just is
Yeah,
not
no,
my
that's
cup
what
of
I'm
tea.
saying, man.
This is
I
not my
wouldn't
cup
say
of tea.
that's super bitter.
It's like the original punk IPA.
Owen, my teeth are itching.
No, I wouldn't have said that's super bitter.
My teeth
I've
are
had-
itchy.
I've had more bitter.
this is
beers than
not
that.
like extreme West Coast IPA bitterness. It's just
I would say about
English.
60 to 70 IBUs.
I'd go
maybe?
I'd go
Yeah.
probably 70 as a base start point. Yeah.
Yeah, it's big.
So
I don't know. I
Hop
think
count-
you got to factor in the other elements of the recipe,
fact that it's
though, right?
dry.
So very dry. So
The Booger is one.
do you
If
know
we've-
what? There you go. There's your comment.
Tongue tingly.
That describes the bitterness really well.
But if the so coming back to the if the final gravity is getting down to, let's say, 1008, right, and then to achieve 5.5%, you maybe need 1050
No.
or a little bit higher.
46.
Well, yeah, even lower
Oh.
then. So
No way.
I need a ABV calculator up quickly to do that.
If you're going
but-
for 0.8, 46 gets you about 5.6.
No way. 49's what?
What are you
No,
talking about?
Chris,
What,
that's
OG
not
to
true.
FG?
yeah,
I'm gonna get a calc.
Everyone's,
well,
like,
in the
rushing
rest
to the
of in
calculator.
rest of
Everybody
it
wants to
started
prove me
its
wrong.
career.
Yes.
Here you go. Here you go. I'll share what I'm doing on Brewfather so everyone can see it.
right. I just said 1050 to 1008, 5.5%, and I was fucking bang on. So shove that up your crack pipe, ladies.
5.5%.
Well,
yeah,
the thing is,
1050, 1008, yeah.
getting to 1008 with SO4.
But that's 1014 final gravity.
difficult. Yeah, but
No,
It's not SO4. It's not SO4.
No, but we're not specifying a particular yeast, right? So I'm just saying, like, I reckon the final gravity is quite low in order to hit 5.5%. That
Maybe
would
they're
be
using a blended yeast.
1050. The
Chris,
point
well,
was
They've
then
got their own-
bitterness wise, if you did a 50 IBU beer, that would still be a Booger ratio of 1, which is going to be pretty hefty. Yeah, so 55
Yeah.
would be 1 and
It's got that sort of
0.05.
figure
So
of 1.
I think somewhere between 50 and 60 IBUs is where I'm going with this very long-winded.
I think probably about 50, right? Because the range
Yeah.
for English IPA is 40 to 60.
yeah.
I don't think it's 1008. That's too dry.
10-10.
I think.
No.
Well, we're currently at 1011.
So drop your Marisota down to
To be fair, that
5.2.
dryness might be coming from the sulfate that's definitely in there as well. Can
That's
accentuate
true.
that, right?
That's
Check
true.
it, get your refractometer out.
Yeah. Aye,
Just
Captain.
shake the fizz out of this and get the.
So we're at 5.
It won't work though, will it? Because it's got alcohol in it. So.
One thing I've
No, but you
not
can do the
rounded
colour.
out though, the hops yet.
Oh, it's
Like,
rubbish
yeah.
though.
we-
Yes.
What do we think they've bittered with?
I reckon
And-
they've bitted with Chinook.
Do you reckon?
No, I think so.
You don't
No,
think
I
it's
think
Not
I
with
think
the
it's got.
Cascade.
I think it's got the
they would have
trickly.
used Cascade, wouldn't they?
No,
No, it's too low.
no.
What's Willamette? Willamette's up at 5.5, right? Yeah, it's Chinook. But then
All right. How much? What are we talking like? 40 grams. Get rid of the Willamette. What happened
Chinook.
there?
don't know.
Oh,
Chinook, you need to put it. Oh, they're all at 60.
Change that to boil. Whoop! That's 77. Right, we go about 30. Takes us to 51. Then where are we putting the Willamette? Do you reckon there's sort of some late boil additions?
Yeah.
Are we talking 30 minute, 15 minute, 10 minute? What are we talking?
I reckon it would probably be
20.
like a 20-15 minute type edition.
I don't
and
think
then
it's that
Whirlpool.
late. I don't think it's that late.
Cascade.
I'd go
Cascade.
10 minutes. 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Cascade's at 10, yeah, or Flame Out.
How much do you reckon?
Oh, 50
Oh,
grams.
I reckon probably 2 grams per litre.
All right.
I would think Willamette and Chinook as a sort of late boil edition, 10 or 15 minutes, and then probably a bit of all of them in the Whirlpool. Don't know how much of each, but
Where's the Willamette gone?
that would be my idea.
I got rid of the Willamette, so we're going to go Cascade and Willamette at 10 minutes.
Yeah, that would make sense.
I didn't want. That takes us to 51, and then you reckon there's some Willamette in the flame out as well.
I'd just go for
There's
a bit of
there'd
everything.
be a hot fan.
Throw it all in the flame out. Why not?
There's definitely
we
Cascade.
want that intense citrusy flavor that they tell us is in there.
The intense pineapple flavours.
Delicious sweet pineapple. Vibrant citrus
Willamette.
flavors.
No, there we go. Right, but we have to bump this back up. There we go. Right,
That is really
push that
bitter,
up a
isn't it?
bit.
That is mega.
How's that
Call
looking?
this a very
47.
strange kind of call, but I think that they have bittered this with a hop with a reasonable amount of beta as opposed to being all alpha,
Uh-huh.
because I'm getting quite a harsh bitterness. I'm not
Yeah.
getting that soft bitterness.
Yeah,
So I
Yeah.
think whichever one of those 3 hops
has the harsh.
has the harsh bitterness as that
That'd be Chinook
beta.
then, because everyone
Chinook.
talks about Chinook.
be
having-
Chinook.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's going to be Chinook. It's going to be sorry, I can't say it. It's Chinook. It's going to be Chinook in the bitterness, and I think it's probably first word, maybe, because it's not quite as bitter.
Fuck off, it's pure mental.
No, I don't think it's as bitter as like
What?
Chinook that's
The
been
bitterness
used.
went up when I changed it to first word.
Well, it will do. It's got longer in the
Yeah.
beer.
I'll keep it in boil.
Yeah.
0.97 Boogie. That probably feels about right.
Yeah, it's
10-10, as dry as it gets. 5.5%. I think that's pretty close. Owen Orton posted in the chat. Where is he? He said he'd use WL007 James Bond, which is the dry English ale yeast. Which is a good shout. That's got a better attenuation than SO4.
Is that Liquid Nottingham or is that something else? I'm not sure what that is.
No idea. No idea.
Whoa! I need to call shenanigans on this. Fuck you, Brett. Fuck you.
it could do a few more IBUs personally.
No, it couldn't. This could do with like half the number of IBUs. There we go.
Yeah. Imagine you had a keg of this, you'd be like, oh crap.
Everyone's enjoying this.
When's
Owen
this gonna
Orton
calm down?
also said he reckons it's 10-10 with 75 IBUs.
I don't think that's a bad shout.
This is a man talking from some experience, I think.
But let's also
we're
bear
at
in mind
10-10,
this might be
75 IBUs.
the home
I would-
recipe versus like. Do you know what I
Bump
mean?
the Cascade up to 30 grams and bump the Willamette up to 30 grams.
No, I think we. I don't think we want
I
to go
don't think
too
they'd
nuts.
be putting that much in there.
I think we should stick to our
Is this
guns.
a supermarket beer?
I don't think we want to go baby with the bathwater here, guys.
I don't think you're far off with that.
We're at 54 IBUs, but we're over a 1 Boogie ratio, which is going to be pretty abrasive.
I need a Marzen after this beer.
Water profile, I went with a hoppy light, which is kind of a 3-to-1.
No, definitely not. Go with IPA as your water profile.
Do
Yeah.
you reckon?
Yeah.
Definitely go with IPA.
200
Yeah,
ppm
I
of
agree.
sulfate.
IPA, I'm not even sure if I've
Hoppy.
got an IPA.
Hoppy.
That's it. 200
All
and
right.
50. Yeah, 3-to-1. That's right, isn't it? 4-to-1.
Bosh. Oh,
Mm,
you have
3-to-1.
to,
Reduce
Thank
your
you.
acid.
No, it's
3.5 mils.
there you go. Look
There's
at that. I think we're getting pretty close. 65 degree.
Yeah.
Mash. Final gravity 10-10. I think we might be there.
I think that's about. I don't think there's anything but Maris in that.
Right.
maybe
Which
so.
poor soul wants to
Brew it.
test this beer? Test this.
Let's throw that one out to the listeners. Who fancies
Good
If you
right
brew
there.
it, send us a bottle. There you go.
You know when you get it, it's just going to be better as fuck.
Well, we went a bit heavy on the IBUs there, guys,
Yeah. Sorry about that.
and the sulfates. Never mind.
But it's screaming that Cascade now. See now that you're drinking it. It's just it's a Cascade hot bitterness.
It's painfully Cascade.
Yeah, it's like,
Painfully.
it'll be all leaf.
Do you know what? I'm going to say something now. If you're going to dry hop it with Cascade, you might want to bump that mash temperature up to 66 because if they dry hop it, if they do put anything in the dry hop, then it's gonna attenuate down.
I'm not sure they're dry hopping that.
I don't. I think they maybe put a steak in it or something.
There's definitely ham in that.
I reckon
I think
they just dip a cured ham leg.
That's it. It's a
into
leg
the
of.
See that? Did you know that meaty thing? That'll be their yeast. That's their house yeast that's given that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think SO4 is probably the starting
It's
point for that house yeast.
I don't know. It's not something you get from Tribute, though, is it? Tribute's quite
No, Tribute's a fucking lovely beer.
chill.
Yeah, but Tribute's got some darker malt in it. It's probably like going to play off that slight umami
Yeah, mask it.
vibe.
Mm.
But this is so clean, and with the citrus hops, it's like, hello.
Can I
That is-
get to drinking something different? Because that's fucking. It's nearly gone, but Jesus Christ.
I've polished
I
mine
actually quite
off.
like it. I actually quite like it.
I'll pass on that.
You've come round to it now, then.
Yeah, I think if you respect it for what it is, which
I
is
don't
Yeah.
feel,
like,
yeah.
which is, although it's like we're saying, yes, it's an English IPA, but it's made with American hops. It's still very English IPA,
Yeah,
Yeah.
very.
Yeah.
right?
I would say one thing. Out of all the bottles of, ale and in the supermarket that say IPA on them,
It's
as far as
probably the
what-
most accurate.
as far as what represents an English IPA,
yeah, it's bang
there's
on.
not going to be any others that are closer to style than that.
One
I
thing
would
that I do
agree.
want to know is who hurt Brett so much that he wants that much bitterness in a beer?
Oh,
Who hurt you, Brett? Tell me, and I'll beat the fuck out of him.
it's
There's
Brett.
a
It's
lot
not.
of, there's a,
Point
there's
to
a
us
lot
on
of
the dolly,
trauma. He's got a lot of trauma to
There's
deal
some
with.
serious mental trauma
Maybe,
going on
maybe,
there.
maybe Brett's bottle had sat on the shelf for a bit longer and calmed down a little bit more. So, whereas
Maybe.
it's fresh.
Maybe. Or
Do you know
maybe
what
he
it's
bought the
like?
one with bottle conditioned written on the bottom.
See if I drank that out of my kegerator, right? I'd be like, well, I'm.
The thumbs down.
I would basically be leaving it for another month before I came back to it.
Mate, I wouldn't be touching it. I'd be drain pouring that shit.
No,
Mate,
I would leave
I'm
it.
not sure that level of bitterness is gonna age out.
Sometimes it does,
Yeah.
though.
Not that
I don't
level.
think so, mate. I don't think so.
Just
Anyway.
needs to drop a little bit more, and then it might be drinkable.
I mean, I'm gonna say it. I think our work is done here.
Yeah,
I think it is. I think we can tick the box, mate.
I
Oh, wait
think
there,
we-
wait there. Brett's just stuck a post up on the Discord channel. He has the original
He hasn't
old
even got
bottle.
he hasn't even
He's got the old
actual
bottle.
new label design on it. So
See, I think his is older and it's chilled out.
I think you look really good on his TV, by the way, Owen, with your orange hair. You look like Sugar Sean O'Malley.
That is a
Thanks.
Yeah, it's a different
Yeah, I've
bottle.
got a certain orange vibe going on.
Well, Thomas, yeah, I mean, this is what we do, man. If you come up with a good idea, then we'll hit it. All right. It's like you find that Fitbird in the nightclub, you're gonna hit it. The bottom line is we've got what you wanted, and to be fair, you've now got 2 recipes to go and try and see if they're anything close to what we've made.
No, that's
Well,
so good. Get that.
Derek's not convinced it's a good beer.
Yeah, but
That's
this is Derek.
So Dell says that beer is so offensive, Andy can go to jail under the Scotland hate law.
nah.
one for
Oh,
those who
dear.
are up on current affairs. That one.
Yes.
There you go. You look like Ronald Weasley, Owen.
No, thanks, Luke.
He was one of the better ones from Harry Potter, to be fair. It's a good thing, man. It's a good thing. Don't be giving it that. It's a good thing.
I literally just watched The Half-Blood Prince today as well.
Fucking great film.
Oh, but
Guys, can I just say that is episode 90 in the bag, and we've ticked the box
yes.
because you've
In
now got 2 recipes that you
the
can go and try. You can you
bag.
can hit these, right? There's also 2 more recipes for the Ringwood Brewery beers if you want to go and try them as well. I'd recommend the Boondoggle. It's a beautiful beer.
Yeah, don't
But we're going to actually give it a bit of an after party. There's going to be a couple of members who are dragging their asses and probably aren't going to be around for a while.
I've got to
um,
finish this, so I'll stay
So,
about.
Andy's going to be around for maybe
Yeah.
10 minutes. Owen's tired. He's had to use his arm a lot today. And so, yeah, no, I don't think he's been doing that. So we're gonna call this one right here.
Beautiful,
Right.
luscious ginger hair.
In fact, somebody else do the chat, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the after party.
Do the chat. Is that what we
What
do
does
on the
that mean?
podcast now? Do chat.
Do the chat, man. Do the
Somebody
chat.
do chat.
Do that chat, Owen. You know how. Rock
Oh,
that
babes.
chat.
Thanks, babes. I don't know. Anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed that. It was a good suggestion from Santa.
Thomas.
And anyone else that's got some suggestions and you are a Patreon, feel free to throw them in. Otherwise, if you're not a Patreon, feel free to email us. and we'll
Hang
see
on.
what we can do.
Just a sec, my computer's gone a bit weird here.
Good.
Oh.
So, shall we wrap it up there, guys?
Yep, let's finish it there.
Bosh, it's in the bag.
Thank you and good night.
Right, all the links are posted in the appropriate places. So we've got YouTube, we've got Facebook, and we've got Discord. If you want to jump on that chat, boys. We will catch you soon for another episode. The next one is going to be a good one. We've all got a beer that's going to be drunk on the next one.
Do we?
And we're going to have a very, very
You've
qualified
made
guest. I have. It's in a fermenter
Oh,
style.
No, I was
yeah.
saying to Andy to remind him of the beer that he's forgotten about because he's
Oh,
still
yeah.
hanging. Yeah.
It's called crashing. It's called crashing.
Yeah, so's mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just as organised as each other. So,
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Good episode. Yep.
guys, hit us up on the after party. We're gonna have a bit of a chat and stuff.
Little
And
clue.
yeah, there you go. So yeah, let's do this. And guys, take care. We love you all. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Choo choo.
Bye.